Okay, so this is the first meeting where we had a computer-generated agenda. So we've got a couple of items. There's one missing though, and that is we have to consider passage of the sidewalk code, which I'll get to in a moment. At this point, as I understand it, what we will be voting on tonight, we've already voted on. What makes this different is it's a vote on where to place the language into the code, and it's a vote on removing redundancies. So we can talk about...
Was this what we passed, that big packet with the Sidewalk Cafe stuff? Right. All this was stuff that's in there, and you're just placing it? Is that
yes, this is kind of cleaning up. We passed this master code, now it's about precisely putting it in place.
Yeah, well, it's nothing new. It's just
we need to make sure nothing got changed.
Wait, I'm going to let Kristen speak to those concerns, and we'll get to that last. So the first item that we have on the agenda involves a communication from Mick Noble about Assembly Bill A06825 and Senate Bill SO5197, which would enable New York State agencies to consider environmental impacts in designating tanker avoidance zones. So we have the legislation introduced into the Senate. We have a sample resolution in support of the state legislation, which we would adopt tonight if that's the desire, and amend it to apply to Kingston specifically. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, from my understanding, we're basically, once we pass that, we just send that to the Senate. We're basically just sending that as a show of support to do
exactly. This. It's essentially an
and then, because they have not yet passed this, they're looking to pass this, and they just want the support so that they can pass it, and that would give us that authority of the state, the authority to do that.
That's right. You'd be weighing in and saying we're in support.
I just want to make sure I understood it clear.
And this is the bill, right? This goes with this. These all together.
Right. And now with this.
Is that in this package or something?
It should be.
No, you should grab. What do you probably should grab that? Randy's.
Let me go get Randy's.
I think I'm on that.
Yeah. Madam Chairman, let me get Randy's mail.
Yeah, you got it.
It's going to get destroyed business out of town.
The one I got, somehow my computer would not open it. I don't know what was going on. It just would not let it print. And I was like, what's that? But then I get an old one from Steve. It's on the old format. So go figure. How come that happened? Because Chavez is for the public safety. That's on the old agenda list. So, I got to print out the old agenda for the general government public safety coming up.
It's online.
I got an email.
I don't know what he said, but the one online is like that.
Yeah, no, the email he sent out from Steve sent it. It was big print too, you have to read it, as opposed to this.
Got them done?
So what am I looking for here?
The first one. The very first one right there, that's part of that.
Got
Yeah, that's the bill by Amador, Carlucci, and Serino.
You have Steve's communication to Jim. And then you have the Senate resolution, proposed resolution. Then you have a sample resolution in support of state legislation for tanker avoidance. And we would be simply weighing in and saying that we support these two resolutions, or two versions of the same bill.
So they went through all their hearings with the Coast Guard, and this is what the state and Senate is now recommending, right? Because that was the whole, Coast Guard was the one who initiated this before for tankers. So this is the end result after everybody spoke and hearings and whatnot. Okay.
So you can see in the sample at the very last sentence says, now therefore be resolved that the name of the Municipal Board of Council expresses its support for Assembly Bill and Senate Bill. And then we would send copies of our municipal resolution to the Assembly and the Senate, to Amador and you brought it.
I will make a motion.
I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of adopting the resolution in support of the tanker avoidance zones legislation, say aye.
Aye.
You want me to sit in also?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Be Mary Ann? Okay.
Across your idea.
I have to be a girl.
I think they all
Yeah,
listen to
yeah.
her.
Get
I
the
mean,
experience.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pass it around again. The second item on our agenda involves building safety. You can see that in the letter addressed to Jim from Tom, it shows the section 332-1 where they want to delete 332-1 section B. And then behind it is the actual code that goes through definitions of rental properties. 332-1 definitions, it goes through A, and then when we get to B, the idea here is to strike all of B.
Is there a reason that we want to delete it? Is there some kind of an issue? Is there ever changing it?
Yeah, there's been a significant issue. Bill can speak to it. Well, the original, basically owner-occupied properties were originally exempt, and we have found that the distinction between owner-occupied and non-owner-occupied is really not valid, and we need to inspect all rental properties. Basically, Joe?
That's correct.
Yeah.
But
So-
we still can't inspect owner property, right? Just
No, we don't go into the owner-occupied section of a multifamily that's got an owner occupancy, but we still have to inspect the rental homes.
all right, so if there's a three apartment and the owner lives in one apartment, you can't inspect his.
Unless they want us to, but the inspections would be for the rentals. The other two units would have to be inspected.
So this
And also means
rectifies
they
it?
don't have to register, they're not, responsible to follow the rest of the rental properties.
So this is a
registration.
good thing then, even though the owner could be in violation?
Unless you guys want to change it, I mean, that's
What
their
it
own
is,
property.
Well, if he's got something unsafe in his apartment, it's going to affect the other three, I would think.
No, this brings the owners of buildings where they are owner-occupied under the
Oh, okay.
property.
Well, that's what I-
Now the other three are.
Okay.
No, yeah,
exempt from
yeah.
it completely.
That's what I
What
was.
she's asking is whether or not we're going to go into the owner's section of it, and in this case, no, the way we have it, that's not a rental, we only do rental inspections. And the caveat here was an owner-occupied building was not subject to those same rules up until now if we change this. So an owner-occupied building could have 6 units, and it wouldn't be registered and it wouldn't be inspected, which means there's 5 units that people are renting that are not, probably not, up to the current fire standards that we, we
More
enforce.
likely.
So under what we have proposed, we still wouldn't be going into the owner-occupied section. That would still be there in one section, and I see what you're saying. I mean, I sort of
Okay.
agree with you.
All
There could be
right.
huge issues there, but ultimately
Right.
that's their property. But this just pertains to the rental sections.
Okay. This makes it safer for
Well, I also
all.
found it interesting that the owner occupied would be all owners, which of course was interesting, because Now some of the properties are owned by corporations.
I know.
They have like 600 people living there to be classified as owner.
Yeah, that was another strange thing to word.
It says all partners or all shareholders of
Right.
corporation.
Half
Actually,
of
those
them
are at the rental
So
property.
that's
Right.
just past that.
At least you can track them down. We know we do.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Do you have a motion? Do you have a second?
It's just spreading out that whole
What did you slip in?
It slipped in. Who's missing? Marion's missing. Oh, I thought she got somebody.
When Jim became married.
She never said anything wrong.
All right, all those in favor of amending chapter 332 of the zoning code by deleting section B, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
And also by amending the language contained within the definition section to eliminate the words "that is non-owner occupied."
Right.
I like the official scratch on. It's official.
Oh, and actually under rental property as well. So it's under both.
Right, it's under
definitions,
both.
under building and under
Yeah.
rental property.
Okay, I'm gonna pass this around. Signature, did we see the other one?
I think it did. It gets stalled. He's got to pass that Mary Ann. I didn't do it for you this time. I see that.
Now the third agenda item, we are going to strike from the agenda, but I do understand that there are people who have come here expecting that it would be.
Well, hold on.
Okay,
There were two parts of the communication. The first was the update, and Sue is here to give the update.
Okay.
So the portion that my office is asking to be tabled is the actual suggested amendments to the code, which has not been completely screened by my office at this point. And we have some concerns based on the language that have to be addressed before the next meeting.
okay, so what I meant to do was allow public comment at the beginning, and I neglected to do that. So what I'll do is I'll have Sue present, and then if you, then I'll give the public a moment to comment, and we can keep those comments within a time limit of, say, 2 minutes and germane to the agenda. That would be great.
This is the one that they're reacting to, this one here, right? The minute of April 19th, is that what you're getting this from?
No.
You mean the public?
No, what
She's gonna update us on the whole zoning.
All right, so Sue, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I mean, the purpose of the update is, comes out of discussion from the Comprehensive Plan and Zoning Subcommittee, and it is, this component is essentially to bring not only our zoning ordinance and our charter, but also to align it with the general city law. So it makes everything compliant and fit together. It seemed like to the committee almost a no-brainer, so to speak, but obviously, Dan has some concerns or some questions that we will go forward and work through with his department. But we had intended to put everything into a single package, but we felt that this was important enough from the committee's point of view to start to initiate the discussion and get it on the table and get it enacted. It's pretty straightforward.
Do we have any questions?
Well, there is like, does these minutes tie into what you're trying to say for this? Because I have a copy of the minutes from April 19th. And it looked like, when I was reading through the notes, that you're basically, first of all, you got to become compliant with the New York State model law. So is this making you compliant, this document? And then we'll talk about the appeal process at another time, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay, so basically we're here tonight just to bring us up to the New York State.
Right.
Well, my question.
Right now, what is in the zoning ordinance and what is in the code, they don't mesh together. They contradict each other. And then you also have general city law. So we want to make them all aligned.
Do you have what's actually been changed or added or deleted, like something where it's more?
Yeah, you used to have the red lines.
I don't have
anything like
it
that
with me tonight, no, but
I mean,
I
in
can
general,
certainly
but-
provide that for you.
Yeah, that'd be great, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, because usually
Because
we
otherwise
change
you're
it.
looking back and forth, trying to figure out
Right.
what changed and what's
We
different.
do the red lining to let you know
Yeah.
what's changed.
Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd
We
be
just
helpful.
pull it out of the charter code and then you can match it up.
Well, you have time?
Yeah,
You got the numbers on it.
I know, but
But it makes it easier when you see the difference of what you're changing. It is.
Well, it's not that simple with the powers of the zoning board, because they're currently in different places within the code, and the zoning board is also obligated to follow general city law, which is not in the code at all. So this is basically a new section. The old section is going to be deleted and replaced with this, so it's not really a red line version like you're referring to. What our office is suggesting is that we are going to go through what was provided by the committee, and we will draft something that addresses our concerns and basically puts all of the various statutory authority together, and we will present it to you either most likely next month.
So this is not going forward today?
Our recommendation is to pull that subject to modifications of it from our office to comply with our concerns that are based on legal issues.
And ultimately, this will be what's in the comprehensive plan.
No, ultimately, that's what's going to be in the code.
Oh, okay.
This will be like separate, we're not gonna put it in
Right.
here, so
Right.
we can get this ahead of them, get it
Okay.
being used,
So we're just bringing ourselves up to code for New York State. is what we're doing.
Well, it's not
Well-
limited to that. There are
Right.
other issues that have to be addressed that are not of concern because of non-compliance with the New York State Code. I mean, the code doesn't require us to have, alternates in a process to remove members who aren't, performing their functions. Okay, but where both the committee and our office is recommending that those be included, so that if we have members who are just not showing up, there's a vehicle to remove them,
Okay.
which we currently don't have.
Okay.
No, there's really no.
I thought we had the Human Rights Commission. I guess we didn't make it all the way across.
I don't know what's the.
Human Rights, if you didn't show, you got a letter.
Okay, so with that, do you have any other questions about this matter? We're going to pull it.
Is that an extra package? I don't know.
That's for the sidewalk code, and they're in a particular order, as I understand it. So I'm going to deviate here. I should have done this at the beginning, but I had neglected. So I'm going to give those who wish to speak on this matter, who came because it was on the agenda, they didn't know it was going to be pulled, the opportunity to speak. And if you could just keep it to your name in 2 to 3 minutes.
I'm Hillary Harvey, 26 Ridgewood Street in Kingston. I'm confused about this item that was on the agenda being pulled. It was discussed and designed through the comprehensive plan zoning subcommittee. So I don't see how it can be presented. I'm confused about how it could be presented as a separate zoning amendment outside of the comprehensive plan zoning. I think that it's another issue like the parking as a primary use, where this board is being encouraged to piecemeal zoning prior to comprehensive plan zoning subcommittee's work, prior to their process, and prior to and without the public hearing that process would ultimately entail. It sounds like, yes, we do want the city to be in compliance, but I would encourage the aldermen on this board to get curious about why all of these zoning amendments and changes are being brought up in this piecemeal fashion. And I would also like to publicly support those members of this commission who have spoken in the past in favor of a holistic approach to zoning that is already being conducted by the Comprehensive Plan Zoning Subcommittee. I think that it's worth evaluating whether that subcommittee is doing the draft in a way that optimally achieves the vision of the comprehensive plan that was so thoughtfully put forward a couple years ago. And if this committee, this draft isn't working in that way, maybe we should reevaluate it. But I really support you guys in not piecemealing the zoning prior to the comprehensive plan zoning committee. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Barbara Scott at 66 Spruce Street in Kingston, and this isn't as relevant as it would have been if we were talking about the proposed changes, but one of my concerns, and maybe you can speak to it just to educate me, was about from my understanding is that the mayor appoints everyone on the zoning board as well as the appeals board, and I'm concerned that there isn't a little more checks and balances in terms of how people come to be on the board. So if my understanding is incorrect, that would be helpful to know. And if it's not, how is it possible to consider that the way people are appointed is a little more democratic?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to address that really quickly?
No.
Can you address just if that is correct and that?
Currently, under the zoning board, under our code, the mayor appoints the members of the zoning board of appeals and the planning board. That is clearly provided for in the code. The general city law has specific provisions with regard to appointments to the zoning board of appeals. I don't have the statute in front of me. My recollection is that according to state law, the chief executive makes those appointments as well.
Right, I recall having this conversation when we amended.
So that's not something we can change.
Well, that's helpful to know.
But again, I don't have the code in front of me.
No, I mean, your understanding though of it is what I'm looking for.
There was a discussion when we amended this about the mayor actually wanted to give the legislative branch an opportunity to appoint. We couldn't do it without changing the code, amending the code, if I'm not mistaken.
It wasn't. It was about a different commission, but it was the same.
But it's analogous.
And I can look it up here.
So this would help.
What's that?
So this would help us clarify or change?
No, this would basically leave it as it is because that's how it reads in state law.
State law.
Yeah, right. We'd have to change state law as we raise that issue in a.
Unfortunately, I don't have the authority to change New York State.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bernie?
Yeah, Lynn, the basic problem we're talking about here is this board has had an erratic performance this year and also last year because they don't have a quorum. So if they use as a template what the planning board has is 5 permanent members and 3 alternate members, all 8 can vote when they're needed, okay, it would move along fine. But when an applicant files a building permit it needs a variance and all the rest of that stuff, and good intent, and the board can't make a decision because someone has a conflict of interest or they don't have a quorum, I think that's a disservice to the person. Okay?
We often end up in a situation where we need unanimous votes, and that's not the intention behind either the state law or the city law. Again, because either a member of the board has a conflict and we don't have any procedure to install alternates, and we end up with a situation where we need 4 out of the 4 persons present, and it really interferes with real deliberations because people have a difference of opinion, understanding that the only way to get something through is for there to be a unanimous vote, are focused on getting work done rather than exchanging ideas.
Okay, so we'll move on to old business. At this point, we have 2 matters. One is the Flatbush Avenue issue, and the other is the sidewalk code. So just procedurally speaking, in terms of Flatbush Avenue, we got a negative declaration, which should be attached, if I'm not mistaken, or
Yeah, it's in the backup.
I printed it out where it is, so I don't know if it came in the packet. Yep, here it is. On May 8th, 2017, the planning board issued a negative declaration of environmental significance for the site plan on 300 Flatbush Avenue. So the next part of this process is to determine a time for a public hearing. And I'm going to propose that we schedule that public hearing for our next Laws and Rules meeting, which would be June the 15th.
I'd rather have it as a separate.
As a separate?
Public meeting.
You leave it separate.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Dan.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a good try, though.
I'll just throw
Carly suggested it before I told her not to, and then she didn't have a chance to get in touch with you.
I just threw Carly under the bus.
Yes, you did.
She can throw stuff at me from.
When is the next one? June
This the 15th. June 15th.
June 15th, so if we can.
So, actually, that's, oh yeah.
And Mike, you want to jump in over here
June
for a second in
15th.
terms of timing of the public hearing?
Well, I mean, you have to have enough time for the notice provision, so I don't know how long that takes. My understanding from talking with Sue was that the clerk mails the notices out, and gives to all abutting owners, and to abutting for the purposes of your zoning law includes across the street also. And then it's also printed in the newspaper, so we should probably leave enough time that gives the public some time to get the notice in advance.
So, can
My anticipation as well would also be that it's going to be a fairly well-attended meeting. And I spoke with the applicants earlier today about obtaining a stenographer to make a record, a formal record of that. So we'll work with them on arranging that.
Okay, so can we do it the week of the 12th through the 16th? Our meeting is on the 15th. If we separated it out and we did it on, say, the 13th or the 12th, let me just take a quick peek at the calendar.
Why is it so quick?
Why is it 15 for?
15th is the laws and rules.
Can you change it? You guys are using it.
Does it have to be in the same month
Well, you can
as
do
the
the
laws and rules? Public hearing and laws and rules?
rules.
In other words, have it the night of laws and rules, but then move our laws and rules to another date. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I'm just saying, because the 15th is your laws and rules, if you have the laws and rules the 22nd, that would give you more of a time. If you're struggling to find the time, especially.
Well, let me just take a quick peek at the calendar.
Just make sure there's no other municipal things going on, because that happens.
Right.
I'm sure there
The only
is.
other thing
The
I
committee
would
would always have
talk, you want to have some time
Oh, wait a minute.
between the meetings, because
Wait a
I
minute,
would
let's-
anticipate, given our experience at the planning board with the meetings that we have had, that you're going to get, a significant amount of comments coming back to you. And you want to be able to have the time to consider those and get any transcript that's developed, which can be generally quickly turned around in a couple of days, but.
I just want to give people enough notice, it's vacation months, it's high school graduation.
I made a mistake, it is not. Our laws and rules meeting is not June the 15th, it's June the 22nd.
So why don't we just do June 15th?
So it would be okay, that would give us a full
June
week
15th,
to assess the comments until.
Right.
So it's June the 15th.
So it would be June the 15th, laws and rules public hearing, I guess we're sponsoring it. We'll have it in the
chamber, yeah.
And we'll schedule it at 6:30. That would give everyone time to get home from work and attend.
You good with that, Mike?
Yeah, is that a Thursday?
That's a Thursday.
That's a Thursday, June the 15th, 6:30.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
The debate that we're having is that's the night of Rupco's big fundraiser.
Okay.
Is that same?
We could do that Monday, you're saying? Nope, nothing's going on that Monday, which is the
Nothing's going on
12th.
Monday, so.
That's planning board.
Oh, planning board. Right.
Just because nothing's going on
Sorry.
for you doesn't mean nothing's
Right, I was
going
gonna
on
say,
for
you
the
need to have your
residents.
calendar. I have a calendar, look at here.
Planning board.
It's not on.
Because the 5th and 6th are our caucus and
Right,
common.
caucus and.
13th is something that's highlighted.
It was just the conservation advisory.
Oh, it's 6:30 to 9:30 is the
So that's
conservation
it.
advisory.
Like I said, you have to check it, because our people go all different.
What's the 14th?
14th, I don't see anything on here. 14th is
Was that finance?
I don't know.
I don't have it.
Yeah, it might be finance.
It was gonna be finance, right?
I suspect
It's finance.
Yeah, it's usually that teen, it's usually
No,
within a week
finance is
after, council meeting, the council meeting's the sixth.
Generally, 5th and
Yeah,
6th,
generally.
So
Yeah,
it's-
there's nothing on the 14th in the calendar.
Yeah.
The first,
I think it's
not
Is show finance on there?
We could do it earlier, we could do it the week before, let's
Yeah,
say the
that's
8th.
what I would
The
say,
finance
yeah.
is 7th?
June 8th.
Well, that's
at
not giving
6:30.
people, I don't give people 2 weeks.
It's just the 15th is, would be bad.
So 14th
So
is
can we
definitely
can the
finance.
notices get out for the 8th? Is that?
Because you got Memorial Day,
Give you
that takes
enough
up.
time?
Yeah, for the 8th, yeah,
Yeah, all right.
absolutely.
Okay, so we're gonna set
5 days, yeah, 5 days is all.
June 8th?
June 8th at 6:30 in the chambers, public hearing.
That's also a Thursday.
That's also.
That is also a Thursday.
We're showing that.
You can write it down.
I think I'm available, I still have to check my calendar.
You can just leave the videotape going.
Thank you, sorry about that on the date.
So June 8th, 6:30.
June 8th, 6:30, public hearing chambers. So the last matter that we have to take care of tonight is the sidewalk code. I'm gonna turn it over to Kristen. My understanding that I want to emphasize is that we've already passed the content here. It's simply we'd be motioning to place appropriately the changes we've already made into the code and to remove redundancies. Correct.
Exactly. So essentially, when you pass the red line version, Corporation Council got that and they wanted to put that, to clean it up and put it into resolutions that say exactly which part of the code you're adding something to and which part of the code you're deleting something. So if you want, I can go through it, one by one here.
So this is clarification of what we've already done.
Do folks want me to go through one by one? For the
Just looking
resolution?
at the,
Don't want me to go through it one by one?
projections and obstructions. Projections is like
I
barriers on
think
the sidewalk.
probably the concern, I know, I'm guessing with Deb is that everything in the language in here was what was in here. Everything, if everything's exactly the same, that makes sense, but,
Yeah,
since we
everything-
just got this, we don't,
Right.
but, I mean, we have time, before caucus to double check it, but I think that would be the concern, that it's, if there's something missing or something.
Right, because it has
Changing in the language, it might not be the
was
same.
missing, and we had to go
That-
back.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just want to make sure that that's clean, that's sort of, so if you want, I mean, we can go over these one,
Well, why don't I go through one by one, so you guys can, know what each resolution is for. It won't take that long. The first one, it should say, on the top, resolution of the Common Council, City of New York, amending chapter 346. Right? So that's essentially the sidewalk cafe section. It was section 346, and then this is the new amended sidewalk cafe section. So that's pretty simple. And then the next one is amending section 355. This is taking out anything that we, in our code, where we had redlined it or blue lined it, in our code, this is a resolution saying what it's deleting.
Right here in boldface.
Yeah, those are, deleting Article 1, section, and then it says the numbers of the sections.
Kristen, I have a question on the sidewalk cafe. Who enforces that code on weekends?
I'm gonna defer to building safety.
That's an excellent question.
It is, it's been excellent since it was first instituted.
Would the police department, since they're officers of...
No, that's called work, they don't do that.
You've gone through 3 so far.
That was the answer to your question first.
I've gone through 2. We got sidetracked.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. Who enforces the code on weekends?
You.
No.
Do we have an answer to that?
It's meaningless otherwise.
Correct. Amen to that.
We didn't address that particular issue in this amendment, so.
Well, maybe
I mean, I don't know that would be a change to the code. I would imagine that would be an administrative change. I'm looking at the building.
Because at that point, it was sizing and space between the curb and passageway and.
Why can't the police department enforce that?
Oh.
And posting of the.
Because they're too busy doing
codes on the doors, to let them know. The insurance, the license, sidewalk cafe, the license for the alcohol.
I guess the question is, do we want to address that question in what we've got, or do you want to take what we have and move on?
I just want to be sure it doesn't water down. This one doesn't water down the previous.
No, it doesn't water down the previous, from what I understand. It actually makes it stronger because we've added the language about outdoor cafes.
What we call the sidewalk cafes, that's what we changed.
Or outdoor seating.
Or either one.
Outdoor seating.
Outdoor dining.
Yeah, I mean, the reason for this change, the impetus for this came from the building department, fire department. They wanted to strengthen the code, not weaken it.
The current regulations only pertain to sidewalks. Doesn't say if somebody wanted to set up in the street or
Which they
in a
did.
parking lot.
Which they
We
did.
don't have any control over it. We have one uptown, they set up in a parking lot. Well, this will give us the authority to regulate how they set up and make sure they maintain enough space where they have to have the space. Right now, we don't have that authority because it specifically just says sidewalk cafe.
But you also do the checking of the liquor license and all that too.
Not really, they don't enforce that.
No.
You don't enforce, who enforces that part?
State.
Yeah.
But we had in our code, they had to have it posted, it had to be posted, they had to be licensed for the liquor outdoor, and they had the liability to protect the city.
Whether they serve alcohol or not, they still have to indemnify the city.
Correct, and that had to be posted, that had to be posted.
We have to have a copy of that insurance on file.
And in the window.
And for them to serve alcohol, they have to apply to the state, the liquor authority, to get permission to do that.
But we have to see that, so you guys going by can see the liabilities posted on the front door and the liquor license. Okay.
And as far as regulating it on weekends, I mean, it would be no different than in the evenings. We don't operate in the evenings, we don't operate on the weekends, but I don't think that people are only gonna set up this outdoor dining, you know, in the evening hours or just on weekends when nobody's
Right, so when the
working.
weather gets
Like the
warm.
extras.
Not gonna take the time to start setting up after 5 o'clock at night or, you
Well,
know,
who enforces it during the week then?
it would come through the building
So,
department.
yeah, okay, it's just,
That'd be you guys.
Monday through
But there too, it would probably take a complaint to the building department that, you know, so-and-so was operating
In the street.
without the posted signage, you know, Sidewalk Cafe. They don't have enough people to just start scouring the city and looking for these establishments.
okay, but to be clear here, because we're rehashing a debate that we had when we passed it, right?
Mhm.
So we've already passed it, we know that it's not part of, you know, what we have in front of us, and that we may need to come back to it. So can we move on? Kristen?
Sure, so the next one was 355, so so the existing sidewalk section is 355, so this is taking out any of the articles or the language that we had redlined or blue-lined out of the other one.
Right, including maintenance thing.
373.4 is essentially deleting the tree lawn definition in section 374 because it didn't, it wasn't congruent with the tree lawn section in the next one, which is chapter 374. So 373 is the existing tree section, and the tree lawn section in that section and the tree lawn section in 374 were different. So we're just going to have one definition of tree lawn, which will be in chapter 374. Chapter 374 is something to do with, this is the all new, and this was the tree planting at sidewalks section.
I remember having extensive discussions about that because Deb's son.
He's a tree expert for urban planning. My claim to
I
fame.
remember this too. Skateboards.
Yeah, so section 390 is again just taking out language that we had recommended to take out of section 390. And then the last one, section 358, is the completely new section of the sidewalk code. But what we really wanted to do was have most of anything that had to do with sidewalks in one section. So if you're a person in the city of Kingston and you want to go to the code, you can go and find most of it, except for sidewalk cafes and except for tree planting in one section. So that's what we do. So, and this is, you're probably all very familiar with this, because this is pretty much what you are.
Under the ADA or whatever. Yeah. So Bill, just moving through each one step by step, does that make you feel more comfortable moving forward tonight, or do you still want to?
Well, yeah, well, I'll still address it. Yeah, no, that's,
All right.
I think that's in general, when you get something in place, that's always a running concern, so, no, I'm satisfied.
And the suggestion was that you could ask you to pass it tonight, and then any questions can be revisited at caucus.
Right, if something would be clear and jump down.
Are you okay with doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Well, let me always do it.
okay, so the idea here is, so can I have a motion to pass the sidewalk code as it's presented before us?
But let me just, one other thing is that I will be renumbering the sections in the main, in the main body of it, so that it, I mean, we've gone through this before, in terms of making the numbers make more sense, so we're not talking about, section 1, sub A, sub Roman numeral 2, sub letter C.
Correct.
And so that it makes more sense, and so that it can be easier.
Yeah, just one more, so what we're voting on then is the passage of this with the addition of the resolution.
We have committee reports for each one of them.
Oh, we do have committee, oh, okay. Well, that's, I thought you were blocking them all. Okay, no, yeah, that's fine.
We just don't have them.
But I don't have to do an individual committee report.
Yes, you do.
Janet wrote them all up for me. Janet wrote them all attached to.
Well, you get a copy, we didn't get anything, are we supposed to know that? That's why I was asking.
What, you got it first?
No, I was asking, we don't have to wait for it to make it clarify it.
Oh, right.
That's why poor person had to sit there reading.
But she was leaving when I was coming in. Oh, tea.
But I'm not allowed to have,
Yes, that's the part, that's exactly.
why do I have multiple copies?
No, they're not.
Oh, okay. All right.
One of them's different.
Something not working.
Okay,
And they follow the order.
follow the order.
Boy, she made it easy for you.
No, I just can't complain. So, can I have a motion to amend chapter 346 of the code of the city of Kingston, sidewalk cafes? Motion? I'll move.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we'll, by the night of the meeting, we'll have the committee reports attached to the, well, you know,
Pass this first one around. Can I have a motion to amend, oh my God, I can't read the writing, section 355 of the code of the city of Kingston? This is in reference to sidewalk evacuations, barriers, street openings, projections, obstructions, maintenance.
I have a question on that. Why does that one say local law, the rest say resolution?
Yeah, I have the same question. Because it's a local law as opposed to, it's a local law, which means it needs 2 readings.
Okay, okay.
Again, one of the problems is that,
And the other one does, so two
provisions that.
Two things in the local law category and the rest are resolutions. Okay, I just want to make sure that was right.
Yeah, we have to parse it all out so that we,
And to be in compliance with federal law, our laws all over the place.
All right, I'll motion on that one.
Second.
Second.
Yeah, our subcommittee didn't understand all of those details when we did the edits.
So maybe you didn't vote.
It's complicated. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, I'll pass that around. Okay, I need a motion to amend chapter 373-4, definition of the code of the city of Kingston. This is in reference to tree lawn definition. I will move. Do I have a second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Only 3 more.
Okay,
Doing good, just keep focused.
I've read it in the papers. This is to amend chapter 374 of the code of the city of Kingston. This is about tree planting and sidewalks. And this one is a local law. Can I have a motion?
motion.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So the premise for this is that correct tree planting at the sidewalk should alleviate some of the cracked sidewalks and people having to do a higher maintenance. Is that the purpose?
Yeah, the purpose of it is to improve the planting practices so that the trees don't keep up the sidewalks.
Yeah.
I need a motion to amend the vehicle and traffic section of 390-55, 390-74, and 390-78, the code of the city of Kingston. It's about skateboards, vehicles on sidewalks. I'll second. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? And last one.
I just want to ask Kristen a trick question. So when somebody comes to you, or who they come to, I want to plant a tree, they have to be informed of the correct tree that they need to put in there? They just can't put any tree in there? Would that be part of enforcement, or is that part of the permit process?
I'm gonna have to.
I think there's a list. There's a list.
Is there a list? I didn't see it. Did I miss it?
Not in here, but I think it's.
When they apply for sidewalk,
Yeah, well, they say we want to plant a tree by our sidewalk. On your property, your lawn is different, you know, but I'm saying on the sidewalk, you want to.
Curbside.
Curbside, thank you.
yes, in between the street.
So if somebody plants a tree and they didn't come to sue, then they can get a ticket. Is that what you're saying?
They don't have to worry.
Take it to Rock.
They don't have to worry.
I'm saying, if there's somebody plants a tree that's not on the list of acceptable trees, they will be taken.
If they want to plant a tree within what we call the street limits.
The curbside.
Okay, then they have to file for a permit. There's no fee for it, it just,
Okay.
and we check and make sure that it's a suitable street tree. We've
Hopefully they
had
know what kind of tree they're planting.
instances when people have planted trees that are not,
Totally inappropriate.
yeah.
So that's in 373, right?
So what happens
Yes,
if they do that?
Yeah, so that's in the section that we
question is, what happens if they
recommended.
don't
We didn't amend that.
Okay.
That's why I didn't know about it.
Oh, okay.
Because that was a.
Because there's a fee,
There is an excise, we try and
All right, I have one last one. I need a motion to add chapter 258, sidewalk standards, to the code of the city of Kingston. This is really the ADA component. This is the local
They had
law.
one like 3.
And, yeah, right, this is a local law. I'm gonna move, can I have a second? This is the actual law.
It's the big thick one here, the ADA, big ADA.
Okay. I'll second.
It's gone.
You already did that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we have one last order of business, and that is to make sure that we pass a resolution to establish the time and date for the required public hearing on 300 Flatbush Avenue. So can I have a motion to adopt the date, the time of June 8th, 2017, 6:30 p.m. in council chambers for the public hearing regarding 300 Flatbush Avenue?
I so moved.
I will second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? All right, we have, we have followed the letter of John.
You're doing a great job.
Make the motion to approve.
Second,
Remind people Memorial Day.
Second.
meeting is adjourned.